Hello students, today we are going to learn how to do a very simple grayscale landscape. Now, first of all, one thing we have to remember is this is going to be grayscale, which is going to be different shades of gray between white and black. This is different from monochrome, which is basically the same color, just either lighter or darker shades. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to set up the main color, and I'm going to kind of keep this as a light color. So what I did is I right click on my canvas until I get this pop-up menu, and I'm going to hit background, and I'm going to keep it kind of light for right now. I can change this a little later, so I'm going to do one of the light grays just for the beginning part. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do the background. Now the background are the parts of the picture that are the furthest away, and that's not counting things like clouds or the sun or the moon or things like that. And they're going to appear the lightest. Whenever you look at a picture, it's going to show that whatever's closest is darker and whatever's farthest away is lighter. So we're going to actually keep this very simple. I'm going to kind of do like a little mountainscape. So I'm going to go into shapes. I think I'm going to maybe start with the triangles actually. And I'm keeping this very, very simple. Now some of this is probably going to go off of my canvas, which is perfectly fine. And some of it's probably not even going to go all the way down to the bottom, which again is perfectly fine because I'm going to end up covering the bottom. But for right now, I'm going to make some mountains, very, very simple. Maybe I can, maybe skew it a little bit. I'm going to make sure that my outline is transparent, and I'm going to make this a lighter gray. So not quite white, but close. Maybe even, so it's like not at the white, but it's close enough. Now I'm going to do another one of these. I'm going to duplicate it. Maybe I might make this a little bit lower. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like mountains, like out in Colorado. I'm going to duplicate one more. Maybe this one I go even lower. Maybe I can even move the tip over just like that. So it kind of gives it like a skew sort of thing. So this is my background right here. This is the thing that's furthest away. So now what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to add a little bit more to what we call the middle ground. The middle ground is the area that's kind of between everything. So now I'm going to go back into my shapes. I'm going to look for maybe like the rounded, like the same snip corner rectangle or something like that. Something that I can add in like maybe right here. So maybe now I'm like looking at like plateaus or something. Things that are not quite so high. I can obviously like play around with this if I wanted to continue with shapes. Actually, I think I'm going to take that out because I don't like that shape very much. I think maybe, that's what I was just using. Maybe, so maybe what I need to do right now is maybe I need to add my own shape, or I could even go to flowchart and do something like this. That looks a little bit better. Not necessarily quite there, but it definitely works a little bit better. So I'm going to make that transparent. I'm going to make this a little bit darker. And I still want it to be, I want it to be darker than the background. So I want it kind of like in the middle. So now I'm going to kind of do something maybe a little bit like this. I can keep doing this sort of shape if I want to. This actually, if I duplicate it, I can kind of keep going down. And I can go down a little bit more with this because this bottom part's going to get covered up. So I could even probably make this a little bit bigger. But this kind of starts to give a little bit of depth and dimension. And duplicate it again. Just like that. And now I'm gonna figure out the things that are closest to the front. And they're gonna be the darkest ones. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm gonna probably start making what looks like a land sort of piece. I could even do another set of like hills or something like that. But I've got to start thinking about what's going to be like towards the front. So I'm actually going to move these up a little bit so that way I can maybe even widen this just a bit. Oh, didn't want to widen both of them. I wanted to only widen this. Just like that. And if it's going off of the page, it's fine. But this actually gets me started. And now what I can do, I'm actually going to go into the polyline tool and I'm going to make the bottom part of this. So this is going to end up being my base for anything I do towards the front. And I'm also going to kind of go down around the bottom here. I'm going to make this almost black because I don't want it to be black just yet. I need to fix some of these actually, so I'm going to actually make this go up a little bit higher. And in order to fix the points, what I did is I went over to my arrow, I double clicked, and I got these sort of purple dots, and they let me switch up the points that I made already. If I want them to go away, I click like that. And this is the beginning of what my landscape is going to be like. I can even raise this up just a little bit if I want to. And now if I wanted to, I could even add like a little bit more on the bottom, like maybe a couple of like little pieces where I could add in like something like trees or something like that. So now I'm gonna probably go back into the polyline tool. Maybe this time I make like a little, just like this, almost like a little valley. And this one I'm going to make black. And once again, if I want to, I can fix some of those points. Just like that. So this is, anything that's like the darkest is going to be what's in the foreground. So we actually have foreground, we have almost two parts for the middle ground, and then we have the background. I'm going to add some other parts such as like maybe a cloud or two up here, maybe even something that would work as the sun. So I'm actually going to go to the moon and I'm going to insert it right in there. I'm going to change this to a gradient shape actually. And I'm going to take out the border. I'm going to rotate it. See how that looks. So that actually looks pretty nice right there. I might make that a little bit smaller. And I think now I'm going to add some clouds around it. So I'm going to get to the clouds. And then maybe a few more. And I can change up which gradient I want to use for the clouds too. That's also the other part. So I just changed up that one. And that kind of makes it look a little bit more interesting. So now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, I'm going to go to Image, and I'm actually going to search the web. And I'm going to look up tree vector. And that's going to give me, if I also hit silhouette, I'm going to get black outlines. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anything that's kind of like more black, just because it will work with what I want. So maybe if I want pine trees. So let me be pine tree. There we go. And what I want is this. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hit Insert. And I'm going to put this in. And I want this to be a little bit smaller. And that works. I'm going to duplicate it. Put it over here. Maybe make that one a little bit smaller. Now notice when I did put in the word vector, and I'm going to go back to this. If I put in the word vector, that means the background of the image is going to be clear, which is why these images work right here. So if I were to type in, let's say, let's do bats actually, because this is like nighttime. So let me do bat vector silhouette. There's something like that. You also get all the creepy looking ones. So maybe if I do, I don't know, I could pick one of those. Maybe I'll do an owl actually, owl. So I could do an owl in flight. I could, you know, maybe see if there's a way to make the owl sit on one of the branches. I think maybe I want to do this guy. I'm going to hit insert. That's big, so I'm going to make that smaller. Definitely still too big, so I'm going to make that even smaller. And then keep going. Maybe I can rotate this. So maybe it almost kind of looks like he's flying. Still need to be a little bit smaller because he's up in the air. Now maybe I want to do an animal down here. So insert image, search the web. Maybe now I do a deer. I see a bunch of good ones actually. Maybe I'm gonna do this one. I like this one. I'm gonna hit insert. Oh, so notice actually that's something very good to know. So notice this whole background that came in is white, and I don't want that. I want to have ones that have a clear background. So now I need to go back and I need to search for another one. So let's see what I can find. Let's try this one. That looks better. Once again, I need to scale him down. So that way it kind of looks like, you know, he's the right size. But there we go. This is how we make our simple vector landscape with shapes, with pictures, and keeping it as a grayscale.